Okay, so tonight I will be presenting our request for coverage of the engineer's assessment report for anything we might need for structural engineering on the receiving tomb. And that meeting is tonight at Town Hall at 8:30 p.m. I'll be there to answer any questions that they have.
Are you asking for a certain amount of money?
I'm asking for enough money to cover the engineering, to cover the estimate, to cover the report that will give us the number for the estimate. So I'm asking for about $13,000 for a detailed report and estimate. And then I will go back to CPC next year or next round and ask for whatever the engineer recommends we ask for.
Has the engineer said that that's the approximate amount for the report?
Yes.
That seems like a lot.
So it's about 10,000 plus maybe 5% for incidentals or whatever they might incur. It is a lot. But we did receive a quote from the people who are doing the headstone restoration, and their report costs about 10 grand as well. So it seems to be the going rate.
Sure, okay.
Also on the superintendent's report, we are going to go into the rental house and look at potential for making that half bath on the first floor into a full bath. And that would give us 2 full baths in the house instead of 1 full bath. There's a note that Mark Chapman's new truck that we received on capital improvements is on order and will be delivered to us in a few weeks. And let's see, we had the barn painted. We're painting 2 sides of the barn. We painted the other 2 sides last year, so it is now complete and looks good. And Anthony San Marco came in on Saturday, and we had about 20 people attend a walking tour of history and interesting permanent residence at the cemetery. It was very nice.
Did you participate? I mean, were you along for the
I
walk?
was along for the walk, and I broke free a little later and went and took care of the funeral that was coming in on Saturday afternoon. So, yeah, went very well. Everybody always enjoys it. And it featured people who will be featured in the book that's coming out in February.
Great.
So,
Nice.
that's it.
Lisa, in your report on the receiving tomb, you mentioned that this is an opportunity to be forward-thinking, good stewards of this very attractive historic structure.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, and I think that's something we should talk about more and think about what we could do with that structure if we are able to.
There is a great potential to develop that. It's a beautiful little focal building down there.
Absolutely.
And it could be made into something that would generate revenue.
Right. Great.
And so I think we should at least check it, make sure it's taken care of so it doesn't deteriorate until we're ready to do something like that.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Any questions for Lisa on the report?
None, thank you.
Next, we have correspondence. We have 2 guests today, Cheryl and Anthony Stewart. Thank
Right.
you.
And Lisa, if you want to preface the
So
purpose.
the Stewarts had asked us in a previous meeting that I presented correspondence if they could alter the headstone and of their family headstone. I believe the headstone was bought by your mother. So they're not the original proprietors, but they have been handed down this family lot. They wanted to alter the face of it. The trustees voted no. And they sent a letter last month, and I included some pictures in our report, but I omitted the letter. The letter got lost somewhere. This is a picture of the front of the headstone.
Can I see it? Did you send this to us last month?
I did. I
Alright,
did.
so I could
And
go
the
look through
and the
my
letter
email.
itself got lost in a shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
And so we weren't able to vote on it. And then Mrs. Stewart called me and I said I misplaced the letter. It got lost in the shuffle, so we weren't able to vote on it. She had said to me, well, when's the next meeting? What they want to do now is to just change the back. Am I right?
No,
Can I see the photo? Turn around
Okay.
again.
Yeah.
we wanted to add both my husband and my name. We're both in our 80s, and we
Right.
plan to be buried there. So we'd like to, we have the will all done. They say get prepared, so this is part of our preparation. So we wanted to add both of our names. We also wanted to add our last name, Stewart, to the front, so it would say Ahern and Stewart. On the back, I wanted to put Ahern above my mother and father's names, and then Stewart above my husband and my name.
Okay, so you want to add a surname to the front. You want to add your surname
Right,
to the front.
Our last surname to the
And
front.
then your detailed information on the back.
Correct.
Right.
It would
And
just,
it would, and your individual names would be open-ended at this point because obviously
we're still
you
there.
are still with us. So there would be an end date when the time came. Right. Your original request was to have your daughter added as well.
Correct.
And so there has been sort of a new line of thinking that it's just too early to add something like that. Anything can happen. People get their names written on these things and then other plans are made. So you coming back and just adding for your own names on the back is a little bit more reasonable.
And the steward on the front.
So the steward on the front,
So where can I, so here's the picture, can you just explain where
Put it
It would
underneath
be
it.
lower.
it would be underneath the Ahern?
It would be.
and
it
it
would
would
be
go
similar.
left to right
Yes.
in the
Correct.
same fashion that the
Correct.
Ahern, right?
And it's
Correct.
similar,
Yeah, font.
font.
Okay.
What about the background and it looks like there's lines delineated around it?
I think that's Lisa just showing that there's,
No, I think that's engraved right in
No, it's engraved. So it would have to be in the same design
Correct.
It is.
to
Okay.
keep the
And have you-
cohesive look of the artwork there.
Have you reached out to the, what is the memorial?
Monument
Not the
dealer?
monument company?
That's all
they're
And
looking
who is
for, right?
that?
It's the same company that originally did the work, and they have all of the plans still
Right,
available.
Okay,
Oh,
and the name
and
of
who
the
was that, do you remember?
And then
Yeah, Lincoln
Ahern
Granite's
above,
over in
Stewart, and
Braintree.
the names.
Okay.
That's fine,
They used to be in Quincy.
right?
Yep,
That's all they're looking for.
yeah.
We spoke to Maria over there.
okay. So that's the change in the front?
That's just me, I made a modification on the picture. So you're looking for the name Ahern above your parents' name, correct, on the back?
Yes.
And then below that box of your parents' name would be Stewart,
Stewart.
and you have two names.
Correct.
I just made a slight modification. I don't have a darker pen, you could see it, but that's just,
Yes.
take a second to look at it. I don't want you to rush, just make sure that's
Yep, Ahern, and then it would be.
your names. I'm sorry, I didn't have a
Yep,
time, I just
yep.
wanted to put name. But on the front,
Yes, you got it.
okay, but on the front you would have Stewart below
Just
Ahern.
Steward just below the Ahern, yes.
Yep.
In the same, right, lineage, or, right?
Yeah, same.
Same font, same
Same
design.
font, everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would probably need some artwork right ahead of time so we could,
We'd get it, you'd get it from the,
So
before.
Quincy
what
Memorial,
fall?
Lincoln.
Lincoln Memorial would submit a mock-up.
Okay.
So I understand the front of the monument, but the back, like putting the last names again on the back? like,
Yeah,
that doesn't
that was
sound-
my question too.
That's not normal.
Sounds redundant.
Not normal, but like,
That's,
does
well,
that sound redundant or?
what, the question would be, I guess, yeah, why are you requesting that? Because I understand
So Ahern's already on
Because
there.
our surnames and Stewart, so I'm delineating Ahern,
Right.
Edith and John, and then Stewart,
Right.
Anthony and Cheryl.
And
And when my daughter and son-in-law are either
They're already
there-
on there.
yeah, and
They're-
they would say Stewart.
So, your parents' names are already on there, the full name, so it would be kind of redundant to add
It's-
Ahern
it's-
above it.
Not truly, because it would be really three names,
But-
different last names when everybody is in there.
Right, but you would have your name added on the back and it would say Stewart
It would
after
say
your
Cheryl
name.
Stewart.
Right.
It would say Cheryl Stewart, and it would say your husband's name, Stewart. So you're using up valuable space by adding the surname again.
Okay, I agree.
That's fine, but there are only 6 of us who are gonna be buried there.
So it's a 6 grave lot?
It's an 8,
It's an 8 grave lot.
it's an 8, and there will be 6 of us buried there.
Okay.
Eventually.
Yes, eventually, because we're still here. And I showed an example to Lisa of Dunford Stone, who lived on Buckingham Road, 2 houses up from us. And I saw that they had put Dunford, and then the daughter got married, her last name was Kelly, so it's Dunford, and all the Dunfords are buried there. And then there is Kelly, Elaine and Paul Kelly, and that's where I saw and thought that was a terrific idea. So they just did it last summer.
So it's an 8 grave lot.
It's an 8 grade
Okay.
lot.
So, this is very rough. Whatever the future beyond you and your daughter
Yeah.
would be, so if you add Ahern here,
Yeah.
and then add Stewart here,
Yeah,
you really need the space for 8 names. 1, 2, and again, this is very rough. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I
It
agree
brings
with
you
you.
down, way down the bottom. So,
That's
yes,
good.
the redundancy from the front, but the fact that the names, the last names are already there, you don't want to take up too much space now with additional names, because your daughter might have a last name and anyone else that goes.
it's gonna be the 6 of us, that's it.
Is your
There
daughter
might be
not
future-
married?
My daughter is married and does not have children.
She does not have children.
Correct.
Okay.
I-
There could be a family tragedy. There could be some sort, so this is why we don't allow this pre-engraving, because there could be some sort of terrible family tragedy, and you might say, we have an extra grave space and we want you to be able to use it.
I have spoken to my brother's side of the family, and nobody wants to be buried there.
Just have one brother and
I
any
have
other
one
siblings?
brother,
Okay.
and I have spoken
He
to
did-
the,
Okay, so he does have a right to be buried there,
he's
and he could change his mind, and that's,
he's not changing his mind because he died in '09.
oh, he's already deceased, and where is he buried?
His ashes are with his wife in Squanto.
Okay,
Okay.
I can see what they're saying.
okay.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So his cremated remains, his wife is still living, or he's buried?
His wife is still living and will be buried at Blue Hill Cemetery. She will be cremated, her ashes will be combined, and they will be buried
Okay.
with their son, who is already has a plot at Blue Hill Cemetery.
Okay.
Everybody has, on that side, has their ideas and where they're being buried,
Okay.
and they don't want to be buried here in Milton.
I understand what he's saying.
I-
I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
We didn't think of bringing it down that far.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And that's rough, because your
Yeah,
monument
no.
company can like show you
Yeah.
by boxing out where
Yeah.
potentially each name could go.
Can we ask Lincoln Granite if they put those 2 in, if they could still put 8 on there?
Sure,
Because
I
they
think
know
that-
this, that
I
they know
think
the
that- I think that
spacing.
you could ask Granite Memorial to give you a drawing that shows it.
Do a mock-up.
Yeah.
Not even with a name, just like a,
A
because
line.
it's shaded out, yeah, that are all the same
Okay.
dimension, just to give you a good idea as to
Okay,
what that would be.
Okay.
What is our current regulation about adding a name, a last name, a surname to the front of a monument, and what is our current regulation about adding names prior to death? Do we have
So
something
we
in the
try
current
not to,
regulations?
so we now try not to add names prior to people being deceased. Unless you are the original proprietor of the stone and you are having your stone made
yeah.
and you want yourself and your spouse on the stone, because after the original proprietors use the space and the stone, it gets handed down to all the descendants.
Yes.
And nobody has more rights than another descendant.
Right.
So you can't really like reserve yourself a space. What the stewards are saying is they are the only people left in the
Correct.
family.
Yeah.
So there's
Mr.
that.
and Mrs. Ahern, your parents only had 2 children.
Correct.
And
Okay.
her brother is already deceased and has plans to be buried somewhere else.
Okay.
So then they only have a daughter.
Right,
She is married
right, and no children.
and no children. She will be buried here. They're not asking for her daughter and her husband's name to be added at this point.
Okay.
They know that they'll have to wait for that. They're just adding for their own names because they want to take care of their estate stuff.
Right.
I think the front is fine. I think the back with adding the surnames seems redundant when the surnames are gonna be
Right
mentioned
below
in the
it, yeah.
individual
This-
names.
I would agree with that.
I think that we could propose that they send us
A mock-up with
the
both
drawings
choices.
from Lincoln Memorial Monument Company of exactly what it would look like for future engraving.
Because then your daughter has a different surname as well.
Right.
But we wouldn't, I wouldn't even broach.
No, this is
her- I
presently
would-
about the
I-
stewards.
Yeah.
Can I just show you what,
Oh, you already have one.
yeah, this is Dunford Kelly, and when Paul and Elaine's name went on, they put Kelly there.
Yeah.
Now, in the meanwhile, there have been other people added to
Okay.
this. There was Elaine Dunford and her husband Eddie. Eddie is already died and his name is on here. They also have Elaine's name on here, his wife, and she's still up and around. They had the Kelly here, so at the top here, they put Dunford. And that's where I saw it, and it
Yeah.
has been done, and they did it. I think I may, if you want me to scroll through, I could show you the finished product. It says Dunford up here.
No, okay, because it's
Kelly
different,
down
it's
there.
different from yours. Yours has Ahern.
Yours says the last
Yours already
names.
has the last name on there, so I
Yeah,
understand.
I agree with them.
Yeah.
Can I see that? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Can I just see that?
And do you know when that was done?
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah.
And up here, it is
Does it say
the,
Dunford up there or no?
it now does.
Oh, now it does, I
They
understand.
added it last summer
Yeah,
when they
yeah.
added the other names on there. I can find it in here, what it looks like presently.
Understood, okay. But it looks, it's different because
Mhm.
it doesn't have the last,
It
the
did-
surname.
Right.
They don't have their surnames after the, and your stone already has your parents' surnames on it. So it seems redundant to add the surname again above them. But should we ask Lincoln to do a mock-up and then revisit it again next month? So if Lincoln can do a mock-up with the way that you want it, and
Not with the surnames on the back,
then again with
the redundant part. Sorry.
So
Can you
both ways?
I could
Can
just,
you repeat that, Jed? What are you asking
So I think
Lincoln
that,
to
I think
do?
that if we could ask Lincoln to provide the front with the surname Stewart, and I think if Lincoln could provide the back with adding your first name, middle initial, and last name Stewart, obviously with the blank space for the year.
On my husband's, it would be his middle initial. On mine, if I'm not gonna,
Mhm.
put the Stewart there, I'm gonna have Cheryl Ahern Stewart rather than a middle initial for me.
Perfect, perfect. I think
Okay.
that if we ask you to ask them to provide a
Mock-up.
drawing mock-up,
Oh, yeah,
I think that'd give us
because
a better handle
they have to
on,
do it for me to get it approved
Yeah.
anyway.
I think that would be the best way to go about, and then we can vote on it after.
Could we clarify what's on the mock-up on the back? Are we saying that they're going to put the surname and then the names?
No,
or
I
just-
wouldn't
No.
put the, I wouldn't
No,
put the
just
surname
the-
up
But I don't
top.
think that was clear,
No.
so
Okay.
I wanna make that
The
clear.
modification would be, your parents' names are already there. The back would have both your names, including you being a Hearn Stewart.
Right.
Adding the surnames takes away from your daughter in the event she wants to add her full name on the back of it. By adding the surnames above a Hearn and Stewart, you're losing space on the back of that headstone.
I agree.
When her legal name now has Stewart as her middle name.
Right.
So it will be
Perfect.
Meredith Stewart.
So eliminating the surnames that you're asking in your first request
Okay.
leaves space for your daughter and her husband
Yeah.
at the time of their
Yeah.
needs.
That's
Yeah.
very good, I agree
Right.
with that.
Yeah,
Okay,
So all we're looking for is the modification showing your parents' name presently, your surname on the front, and then your two names on the back,
Right.
below your parents.
right.
That's all we're looking for,
Yep.
and would have a decision for you by next month.
Next
Okay.
meeting. after-
Next meeting,
And,
which is-
and I'm assuming that by next month, it'll be November, it'll be too cold to be doing anything, so we're talking about cutting in the spring.
I'd ask them that. 'Cause
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do-
I'm-
they do
yeah.
come
Yeah.
out in the, they do come out in the winter.
They didn't want to when I spoke to them a year
Okay.
ago.
Okay, I'd definitely clarify what their engraving time periods are, because the last 2 winters have been mild, and the engravers have come out.
Mm,
Maybe not them, but there have been engravers that I've seen out
yeah.
there, so.
Thank you
And-
very much for your time.
yeah, no, thank you. We
Do you have any
Thank
other
I
questions?
appreciate
I
you
just wanna
coming in
make
and
sure.
Clarifying that, because coming in and showing us and talking about it, we can get to be on the same page to look at it, so, thank
And
you.
on the record, this cemetery is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah, well.
Oh, thank
you
you.
have arboretum.
All of the statuary, every time we go up, we look for to make a point, and whoever came up with that idea was brilliant.
Right,
Yeah.
great. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Alrighty.
that.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate your
much.
time, folks. Nice to meet you both.
Thank you for all the chairs and your
Oh,
time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Have a great day.
yep, you too.
So next on the agenda, we have old business. Lisa, Milton Cemetery planting restrictions?
Old business.
Can we just go back that we're based on the record, so we'll make a modification and then address this at the next meeting,
Yes.
correct? On the,
I wouldn't say next meeting,
Or-
I would definitely say once it's submitted to
Sure.
Lisa, then she can present it for the meeting
Right.
after
Perfect.
that submission. Just so we don't get, if we don't get it in time.
sure.
Great. It's in the minutes. Good.
Old business planting restrictions, I would like to, start to refresh people's memories about the planting restrictions at Milton Cemetery. And, many people have inherited family lots. Their parents or grandparents, originally purchased the lots. They were the ones who signed the planting restriction, notice at purchase. And many people have no idea what the planting restrictions are. So from now on, I've printed them up, and I'm going to give them to each incoming burial family. And that way when they come to visit their loved ones, they will be aware of the planting restrictions. And we'll post them on the website. And I will do a social media post saying that cemetery planting restrictions are available in the office, or we could email them to you if you are so interested. And then I'll probably get a couple of sandwich boards made up for a couple of areas in the cemetery, refreshing people's memory about what's appropriate and what's not. Because there are a lot of novelties around, flags, solar lights, statues, things like that, that are inappropriate for our historic landscape, and also they become a danger with lawn mowing equipment. They become projectiles. We had a flagpole, an ornamental, one of those shepherd hooks things run over last year by a lawnmower. Really caused some damage to a $10,000 lawnmower. And that's why we have these restrictions. It's not to ruin people's memories of their loved ones. It's for appearance and safety. So I want to kind of start reminding people about the restrictions.
Great idea.
I agree 100%.
Could I just add in under decorations of grave where it says a photograph, picture, or other visual rendering of the deceased may not be placed on a memorial. It should be included to be permanently affixed to said memorial.
Right. So back a time ago, it became popular to affix a little porcelain plate to the front of the headstone, and the trustees at some point decided that it was not appropriate. We didn't like that look. The trustees reserved the right to restrict these things, and so a moratorium was made that no more would be allowed. So there are a certain number of those around the cemetery, and we are no longer allowing them.
Agreed. I might have a few small little comments, like to clean up a few
Edits.
things on here, edits. So can I provide those to you at a certain time before you publish them out there?
Of course.
Yeah, and other people may have also edits, but nothing major, but just clean up some language.
Sure. This is taken verbatim from our regulation book
Perfect.
that we
Good to
give
know.
people when they buy a lot.
Verbatim. Okay.
So if we're going to make some changes, then we should vote to accept those changes and put them into the book.
If I get
Like
that,
as a,
if I
or
get
is-
that reprinted,
well, you can put it in as a loose leaf, right? And just
Correct.
I
stick
could
it in there.
put it in
Yeah.
as an
An addendum.
addendum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How many of the rules and regulation packets do you have?
left, not many.
Okay, so we
so
could
it's
potentially look at that.
It's-
2016.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's time to really get it reprinted and,
Okay.
and redo it.
Okay,
That'll take some work.
okay.
Or, maybe
Yeah.
we won't get it printed up in a hard copy, and, maybe we'll print it on demand here at the office.
Right.
I think potentially only because people are more accepting of, most people are more accepting of a PDF or an
Online,
online document,
yeah,
electronic document of some kind. So
right,
I think that you could keep your printing costs down,
yeah,
and maybe print them in-house, because does it have to be?
yeah.
It is a beautiful brochure, it's
Because
stapled in the middle, but do you?
Really, I only give out maybe 50 of them a year.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to print up something like that and outlay the money.
Right.
And then by the time we use up the number we have to have printed, they're out of date
Okay.
again.
and then the new item that you're giving out, this is for every new burial, not just the purchase of a new lot.
It's for every new burial.
Every new burial.
It's to refresh families' memories about
Okay.
what's appropriate.
Thank you.
Yeah, because, with a new burial, people tend to visit more, they bring more personal items, they create a little altar, and it gets out of hand, and it becomes a little altar, and that's better done at home than here.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Great. Any other old business? No?
No.
Any new business?
I have a note that I forgot. Walter White, a gentleman who comes every Memorial Day to put flags in. You'd know Walter if you saw him. He has always been interested in doing a project with the veterans markers, and he's a member of the Rotary Club, and he has organized some volunteers from Driscoll Landscaping and from Curry College, and they are coming in on Saturday morning to go through a certain section of the cemetery and try a community effort to freshly edge out veterans markers. And we're gonna see how that goes and how much they get done. And if it works out, it could be an ongoing thing throughout the cemetery where we would be able to edge out veterans markers for easier identification during Memorial Day flagging.
Can you explain what that means? Are these like flat markers?
So they're the flat government markers that you get when you send in your discharge papers, and they're put on a veteran's grave. And that's what the volunteers look for when they go out to flag the graves.
Mhm.
And they get overgrown with grass.
I've seen that. And
Some
dirt.
of them sink,
Yes.
you know. Some of them are from the 40s, some of are
Yes.
from the 50s. So my crew does not have the luxury of time to go out and edge these things
Mhm.
all the time. We do it if a family calls and says, will you edge out our marker? But some families are gone now,
Mhm.
and they don't have anybody to call, so they get overgrown, and it's hard to identify those veterans markers. So this crew is going to go out in the field and physically look in the ground. They're going to
Sure.
take it row by row and look for veterans markers in the ground that need attention, and they're going to edge them out, add stone dust around the edge, and clean them up.
Okay, in what area, sorry, Jen, what area of the cemetery are
So-
you talking about?
This Saturday, they'll be working in the area behind the old soldiers,
Mhm.
monuments where
Mhm.
we have our Memorial Day. So that area is called Soldiers. It's bounded by Soldiers Road that goes in a loop. So they will tackle as many rows as they can do in, I think, the 4 hours that they're going to be here.
Mhm.
And it's sort of an exploratory mission to see how it goes and how long it takes. But
And-
it's a valiant effort on Walter White's
Right.
part.
And when they
It's really taken a lot of coordination on his part.
Maybe they could keep track of how many they find and clean up, so we
Right.
have an idea of what
Right.
they're doing. Okay, great.
So they're going to edge them. How far, have you talked with them about how far back they're gonna pull the edge from
Yeah, about
the edge, and then how much are they going to,
inch and a half,
put
2
stone
inches,
dust?
fresh stone dust around the
And it's gonna be
perimeter.
flush with the marker itself?
Yes,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah.
I think that's great. I was in a section the other day and I realized that I was standing on a granite marker, the lot marker.
Yeah,
And when I realized it, then I just used the heel of my shoe and I just kind of pulled back all the grass and I realized it was I knew it was a piece of granite initially, but then I pushed with my shoe, pushed it all back and I realized that the grass had just overgrown the family foot marker. It wasn't a VA marker.
it's the lot marker,
Yeah, the
so
lot marker, yeah.
that's the
So,
address of the
Yeah, I was wondering
family
how
lot.
you address that because within a couple of months, obviously a spring growing season would probably need it. No one would be able to see it.
Hmm.
So
So usually when there's a burial at a lot, these things get addressed
right.
and freshened up. But if there hasn't been a burial in a long time and there's no family going to visit anymore, and you know those in-ground markers can get overgrown, which is why a headstone monument lot is preferable to families over a flush marker lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for that information, Lisa.
Anything else? Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. It is 8:55 a.m.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks everybody.